Hey, welcome back. I'm Selima,
And I'm Tami.
and we're co-founders of Iwilla Remedy, where we help you turn your health issues into non-issues holistically and spiritually. So, Tami, tell the folks, what are we doing today?
We are making herbal preparations. We're making a syrup, a tincture, and a tea blend.
And the reason why we're doing this is because we're going to be sharing a lot more herbal formulas on how to heal specific conditions, and we want you to know how to make your own medicine because it's really not challenging. It's probably one of the most fun parts of herbal medicine and one of the most empowering parts of being able to take control and take the helm of your own health.
Make sure that you like and subscribe and click the bell so that you are notified every time we put up a new video.
Let's get into it.
All right. Hey, y'all. Today we're going to learn how to make a cup of medicinal tea. It may seem easy, but you would be surprised how many people are not making their medicinal tea properly. So let's first talk about the tools we're going to need. Hot boiled water, not heated up in a microwave, some type of strainer, a container. I'm using a teapot that has a strainer built in, and some of your favorite loose leaf medicinal herbs. I'm demonstrating today with our best foot forward tea blend, which has oat straw, astragalus root, singing nettle, lemon balm, and peppermint. We made this tea blend as a coffee substitute, and how we approached this formula was not to replicate the taste of coffee, but to achieve the feeling one is generally looking for from coffee without some of the side effects. This blend has been described as making you feel like your true self. It is going to energize you, help with digestion, boost immunity, and taste good too. Okay, so let's get into making this cup of medicinal tea. We're going to put 1 teaspoon of herb into a pot. We're going to pour our 8 ounces of fresh, hot boiled water and cover. We are going to let this sit covered for at least 30 minutes. One of the most important ingredients of making a cup of medicinal tea is time. You want the herbs to steep for at least 30 minutes, so all the volatile oils and medicinal properties of the herbs infuse into the water. After at least 30 minutes, you're going to strain the herbs and pour into a cup and enjoy. I like to add a little lemon and honey to my tea, but you sweeten or not as you see fit. Sip and enjoy.
So I hope by now that you're really seeing that making herbal medicine is really not complicated. Some people get really intimidated, and we're here to let you know, ease, relax. Herbal medicine's not complicated. And well, the herbal medicine preparations are not that complicated. Of course, understanding herbs takes a lot of time and study and patience with oneself. So up next, we're going to make a tincture, and I'm going to use the folk method for making the tincture because it's the most accessible method. And a tincture is an extraction where the herb is sitting or macerating inside of alcohol or vinegar or glycerin. We're going to make an alcohol-based tincture. And with tinctures, again, as Tami mentioned, we need time. And so the water from the alcohol in the alcohol, and the herb are going to sit in this jar together, get all happy, do their dance. The liquid is going to extract the medicinal components, the pharmacological constituents from the herb, and that's going to take about 4 to 6 weeks. So it's like the herb has to soften first, and then it begins to be extracted. The medicinal properties begin to be extracted by the liquid and go into the liquid and out of the herb. Hope that makes sense. So here we are using Elecampane. We are out of our personal stash of Elecampane at home, and I absolutely love, love, love Elecampane for the lungs. It has many other indications and reasons as to why you would use it, but we personally use it because we're a phlegmy family. When we are coming down with maybe like some kind of respiratory issue, and so Elecampane helps to thin mucus, it helps to curb mucus production, it helps to expectorate and decongest. One of the really great stories around Elecampane was when I was helping my mother, and she had some lung pain that she wasn't able to go to her doctor right away to discern what it was. And I told her to go into her herbal medicine for the soul herb kit, grab Elecampane, and it was over a long weekend. So she took about 4 cups. And by Monday, which was the holiday, she was feeling a lot better. So I really love Elecampane for thinning excess fluids, curbing production, and it's a really great pulmonary tonic. So with our folk method tincture process or preparation, what we're going to do is fill our jar 1/4 of the way with herb. And you're going to eyeball it. This goes back to, again, herbal medicine preparation is not complicated. Does that look like a 4? Boom, 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 boom. That's about a 4. And then we are simply going to top off our jar with alcohol. We're going to get it as close to the top as possible. I'm going to need to add a little bit more alcohol to this. But we're going to get it as close to the jar, close to the top of the jar as possible. We don't want very much oxygen. And we're going to cover it. And what happens with tinctures is that every day, you're just going to shake it like a salt shaker. You're going to shake it so that all of the herb is submerged, all of the herb is kissed by the liquid. And for 4 to 6 weeks, you're going to allow this to sit. And then when it's complete, you're going to strain out the herb, and then your medicine is the liquid. So up next, we're going to make an herbal syrup. I really enjoy making herbal syrups. I think that they're a really fun herbal preparation, and I hope you enjoy them too, especially if you like to cook. They're a cool way that you can express your creativity because syrups are really versatile. And so the reason why I would turn to a syrup versus like a tincture or an infusion is because it's concentrated. So similar to a tincture, you're going to take a small amount, but you're going to get a lot of herb within it. I would also use it when the medicine's not palatable. It doesn't taste good. Lots of people, have an aversion to medicine that doesn't taste good. And with syrups, you can sweeten them. You can make them sour. You can make them spicy. And then the other reason why I would turn to a syrup is when I want to mix area parts with roots and barks. And that's one of the reasons why I'm going to demonstrate for you how to make a syrup, and hopefully you'll enjoy this process. So the first thing that you need to do is weigh your herb. So you need to decide on your formula. Today I'm using 4 plants. I'm using wild cherry bark, rose, blessed thistle, and orange peel. And I've already pre-measured my herb. I'm going to keep it simple, and I'm using 1/2 ounce by weight of each herb. So we're going to start by adding the hard plant parts, the orange peel and the wild cherry bark, into our pot. For my syrups, here's the wild cherry bark. For my syrups, I typically use 2 ounces of herb and start with 4 cups of water. So I start by putting the hard plant parts in the pot first, and now I'm going to add my 4 cups of water. I'm going to turn this on, and we're going to allow this to simmer for 45 minutes covered. And the reason why we want this to be covered is because as it's simmering, it's going to get to a boil. We're going to turn the heat down and let it simmer. As it's simmering, it's releasing the volatile oils, and we want to make sure that the volatile oils go back into the infusion and aren't released out into the air. So up first, let's talk about rose. Rose is a uterine supportive herb. It's a heart chakra herb, a womb herb. It's astringent. Like all of these plants are going to have a little bit of astringency, again, because we're checking excess secretions. So it's astringent. It is cooling and antidepressant. It is expectorant, and it's also a little bit moistening. When we're making our formulas, we want to balance moistening and drying. We also want to balance warming and cooling. Up next, we have our orange peel. This is warming, a little bit drying, and this is for digestive support. It's a bitter. Most of these are bitters. helping to detoxify, helping with digestive secretions. And like when we're using bitters and helping with digestive secretions, we're also inducing a parasympathetic nervous response, which means that we're relaxing internally. This orange peel helps with nausea and vomiting and belching, and it's a culinary herb. That's primarily the reason why I'm putting it in this formula, so that it helps it taste a little great. Here we have wild cherry bark. Again, another astringent herb that's expectorant, sweet, another bitter, sedative, and it helps to decongest the blood, the digestion, the lymph, the lungs, and reduces spasming. Lots of times you see wild cherry bark being used in formulas for coughs and colds, but it also has a really great way in which it supports and checks secretions in the reproductive system. So its astringency will help to reduce that excess bleeding in the case of something like menorrhagia. And then this herb is blessed thistle. And blessed thistle, very bitter, which is one of the reasons why I wanted to include it in a syrup formula, because you're not likely going to want to take it by itself. This is a blood purifier helping to remove toxins. It helps the liver to detoxify androgens. Those are the hormones that are the hardest for the liver to metabolize. And so we're going to support the body in doing that, especially in a reproductive issue like menorrhagia. And it's also a galactagogue. You'll see blessed thistle in many formulas that help to produce breast milk. So now we're back with our syrup. Our herbs have been simmering for 45 minutes. I'm going to turn the heat off. And what we're going to do now is add the area parts. We're going to add the rose and the blessed thistle. You're going to stir it in. You want to make sure that all of the herb is going to be submerged into our liquid. And we're going to let this steep, just like what Tammy was talking about making an infusion. Now we have our area parts basically in hot water, and we're going to let this steep for about an hour. We need it to be a little bit cooled down so that we can strain it properly. So 20 to 40 minutes, that might not be enough. So we need it to cool. We're going to let it sit and steep for about an hour. And then we'll come back, we'll strain, and then we'll add our brandy, our honey, and we'll bottle. And now we need to strain. It's had some time to cool down so that I can handle it. And so here's what we're gonna do. I like to use double, have more than one strainer. Sometimes I use a potato ricer, but it's nice to have a nut milk bag and then also have another strainer on top. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna strain to separate the herb from the liquid. I want to get every last drop. Okay. So I usually press down a little bit. It's nice to have the potato ricer, and then you'll see I'll put the herb inside of this bag so that I can squeeze. Kind of do it a little backwards. But the camera's rolling, so we got to keep it moving, you know what I'm saying? All right. So you're going to use your hands. There's a lot of medicine that remains inside of the herb. So you want to squeeze to make sure you get all of the liquid that's still inside of the herb. We don't want to throw away medicine. Okay. And now our next step, we have to simmer one more time, because I have about 2 cups of liquid in here. I only want 1 cup of liquid. And that way, when I'm making a 16-ounce syrup, so that way I'm gonna have 1 cup of my decoction, and I'm gonna add a 1/2 cup of honey, and I'm gonna add a 1/2 cup of brandy, and then it'll be preserved. So we're gonna let this simmer. I'm gonna get the top and cover it, and it's gonna simmer to reduce from 2 cups to 1 cup. All right, folks, we're here. We're at the final stages of wrapping up our syrup. It took about 30 minutes, but I reduced our syrup, our liquid, it's not a syrup yet, to 1 cup. So we have 1 cup of hot, steaming, like herbal decoction. So now we are ready to bottle. And I have a 16-ounce jar here. I'm going to pour our decoction into the jar. And use a canning funnel. And now I'm going to add a 1/2 cup of brandy. That cools it down a bit. Because now I'm also going to add a 1/2 cup of raw honey. So the brandy cools it down because we don't want our decoction to be over 100 degrees, because then it will it will destroy the medicinal benefits of the honey. I've done this a bunch of times, so I know that adding the brandy first helps to cool it down. And now we're going to stir until it's all mixed. We have 16 ounces in this jar. We're gonna stir, and then we're gonna bottle. And so the reason why we're using brandy is because that is our preservative. So when you make a syrup, I always start with it's a 2 ounce of herb and 4 cups of water to reduce down to 1 cup of decoction. And then I'm adding my 1/2 cup of honey and my 1/2 cup of alcohol. This is my base syrup recipe for everything. You can leave out the honey if you like and add more alcohol. But the important thing here is that in your 16 ounces, you have at least a 1/2 cup of alcohol, 40% minimum alcohol, because this makes your syrup shelf stable. Adding the honey, personally for me, it makes it taste better. And honey has a lot of medicinal benefits that I like to include in all of my syrup recipes. So this is our menorrhagia syrup, really good for secretions, checking excess bleeding. It's going to be delicious. It's detoxifying. And I hope you enjoyed this video.
There you have it. Now you know how to make a tea, a tincture, and a syrup. And you're well on your way to making all of your herbal preparations in the most effective way possible.
Exactly. So we're going to be referring to this video a lot. Anytime we release a new video around a specific health condition and the herbal formulas that you can make to address it, we're likely going to be using one of these 3 preparations and some others. So be sure to like, subscribe, hit the bell button to be notified, and we'll see you next time.
We'll see you next time.